huge backlash to a proposed quota for locals in private jobs. Now the Karnataka government, heeding to that backlash, has decided to put this controversial bill on hold. They've now decided to go for wider consultations, perhaps consult with industry and other bodies, which again was another problem with this proposed bill. But it led to huge uproar, particularly from the IT industry, saying that this would only lead to investment going away from Karnataka. Already in neighboring Andhra Pradesh, for example, Nara Lokesh has tweeted out, tagging NASSCOM, the industry body, the IT industry body, asking them to come and invest in Andhra Pradesh. Now, more importantly, if this bill does indeed go through, it could very well be violative of the Indian Constitution. Remember, Article 14, 16, they give you the right, the freedom to live and work in whichever part of India you choose. That is a fundamental right enshrined in the Constitution of India. So the question that we are asking, and yes, it is good that the Karnataka government has heeded to this backlash, this outrage that such a thing should happen in the private sector, and that too in the 21st century. As of now, it's just a temporary hold. They're not shelving this altogether. So the question we're asking tonight on the show, should such narrow parochialism be kept out of the private sector? Should merit and not ethnicity decide who gets a job or not? So let's take you through some of the key features of this bill, which has now been put on hold. So the idea was to give 50% of allocation or some kind of quota in management posts and 75% quota in non-management posts to locals or Kannada speakers, Kannadigas. The candidates must be born in Karnataka. They should have domiciled in the state for 15 years. Also, that local is defined as a person who can legibly speak, read and write in Kannada. Now, the person should also have a school certificate with Kannada or a past proficiency test in the ability to speak, read and write Kannada. Now, industries must train locals within 3 years if candidates are unavailable to fill certain positions. The companies can apply for relaxation over the shortage of any qualified locals. The local quota cannot fall below 25% for management or administrative jobs and 50% for non-administrative posts. But top business leaders, as you would expect, have hit out at the Karnataka government and they are saying that this is completely a retrograde mechanism. This is a retributive mechanism. TV Mohandas Pai of Infosys, he has said that this is a fascist bill, as in like Animal Farm. It's completely draconian and unconstitutional. The Karnataka government is trying to destroy its economy and jobs therein. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw of Biocon has said that we must not affect our leading position in technology. There must be caveats that exempt highly skilled recruitment. R.K. Mishra, who's the co-founder of Yulu, has said that another genius move from the government of Karnataka, mandate local reservations and appoint government officers in every company to monitor. This will scare Indian IT and global capability centers. And VSP Prasad, MD of the Swarna Group, has said that such restrictions will ultimately end in stopping all infrastructure projects and industry will be closed if such compulsions are imposed. And right now, just moments before the show, we're getting news from the Chief Minister, Siddaramaiah, who has tweeted, and I quote from his tweet, that the bill that was intended to implement reservation for Kannadigas in the private sector, institutions, industries and enterprises is still in the preparation stage. A final decision will be taken after comprehensive discussion in the next cabinet meeting. So for now, they've decided to put a temporary hold on this particular controversial bill that would reserve or keep a quota for locals up to 50% in administrative jobs and up to 75% in non-administrative jobs. Harish Upadhyay is now joining us. Harish, so clearly the government responding to and heeding to the backlash, particularly that coming from industry. But what are the chances that they will still go through with this move at a later stage?
Well, there is pressure on the government from pro-Kannada groups to have a legislation that will ensure that jobs for Kannadigas, somewhere there's preference for Kannadigas in some of these jobs, at least in Category C and Category D jobs. And the fact that Siddaramaiah, whether it's the first term or in the second term now, has somebody who's constantly projected himself as somebody who's championed the cause of Kannada language and Kannada people, it won't be a surprise if the government attempts once again but probably you will see a watered down version of this bill, because ever since this came out in the public domain yesterday, all along today, we've seen whether it's the Industries Minister, Mr. M.B. Patil, whether it's IT and BT Minister, Priyank Kharge, all of them tried to defend the bill, but it was very clear that they were uneasy about certain clauses in the bill. They also assured the industry that it wouldn't affect how the entire company's private sector operates in Karnataka. There won't be any sort of a punishment for these companies. It's more of advisory in nature. But clearly, industry bodies were not happy with this, because they said their compliance burden would increase. They would struggle to get candidates. You would have an authorized officer and a nodal agency that they would have to deal with. So clearly, they were not happy. At the same time, the legal advisor for the Chief Minister himself, Mr. Ponnana too, when he spoke in the morning, he was very guarded, did not defend the bill outright. He said, I haven't seen the contours of this bill, but we have to be careful on how we want to implement it, because there will be a legal challenge as well. So clearly, within the government, there were divisions. There were people who were not happy with the bill and some of the clauses. So clearly, the government now believes that it's better to go back to the drawing board. What we are picking up from the Chief Minister's office is that this will be discussed in the next cabinet meeting, and then they will decide how to go about this. Should they have a committee that has industry bodies, labor groups, Kannada groups, and then come up with a new draft, or do they want to drop some of these clauses completely? That's something that they will discuss in the next cabinet meeting, is what we are picking up. But clearly, whether it's the startup world, whether the IT world, all of them were unhappy with some of these clauses, which many called were draconian, having a nodal agency that will look at who you're hiring, their background, or having an authorized person from the labor department of the level of assistant labor commissioner constantly seeking records from any private company, that they said would hamper their operations in Karnataka. And especially what has happened in the last few hours with Andhra Pradesh too coming in saying that we would like to invite private companies to invest in Andhra Pradesh. Clearly, the state government was on the back foot.
All right, Harish, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the state government now responds to this. For now, temporarily, they've decided to put this bill on hold after consultations with industry and other stakeholders. Let's now open this up to our guests, and I want to remind our guests who are all joining us once again that this thing has now been put on hold, but temporarily, as the Chief Minister's tweet has clarified. Whether or not they will bring it out at a later stage, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not like this idea has been put in the cold storage. Captain Gopinath is the founder of Air Deccan, one of the most well-known industrialists in Karnataka. Professor R. Vaidyanathan is author and retired professor of finance at IIM Bangalore. Bhavya Narasimhamurthy is spokesperson of the Congress Party, and Anand Gurumurthy is spokesperson of the BJP. Bhavya, let me start with you first. You know, to start off with itself, this was not a particularly smart move. Forget about what industry is saying, forget about the fact that investment will go away from Karnataka. But such similar moves have been tried previously in Haryana, in Jharkhand, in Maharashtra, and the courts have struck it down as unconstitutional, illegal, as per the eyes of the law.
You know, I have seen a lot of narratives which say, you know, the bill is narrow, parochial, or, you know, we need to give importance to merit. I mean, why do we presume that people of Karnataka are not meritorious? That's first thing, right? And this bill has given 3 years time for these industries. If you can't find someone who can fit your profile, you can always train them in the next 3 years. That is very clear. So there is no question of merit here. Even after that, if these are some positions where, you know, you need highly skilled person, then they have even said you can apply for an exception, where the companies will have, we will give them an exception saying they can reduce it to like 25% in management seat and 50% for group C and D. It's very clear. And our intention is very pure, and it's only because the daughters and sons of the soil, they need to be given an opportunity to build their livelihood, to improve their standard of living.
Bhavya, what if tomorrow the government in Delhi, the government in Maharashtra, government in Bengal says, we will not accept any Kannadigas, even if they are meritorious for positions that are open in this state? Where does this end?
Like, no. There is no comparison. Why are you saying they'll say Kannadigas won't be accepted?
Okay, you are making it exclusive. No, you are saying that certain quota has to be given for locals, for Kannadigas.
we have not implemented 100%. It's only fair that management quota 50% and
No, one sec. This is not some engineering college or medical college where you have management quota and government quota and.
Sorry,
Alright.
yeah, please tell me.
No, no. What do you mean by management quota? An industry or a corporate or a company decides to hire someone based on his or her skills. If those skills are available in a local candidate, well, by all means, please go ahead and hire that local candidate. Oftentimes, the need for hiring non-local candidates is because the skill sets are not available. That's the reason.
Jacob, not like because the skill sets are not available. When there is a reservation, you will make sure that you will search for the talent within this pool. It's as simple as that. That's the reason a reservation is made. Not as
you don't search. I mean, this is like a sarkari form that you're trying to fill. You have to find a person who is a local who has the skills. Otherwise, don't fill the position. I mean, no corporate is going to play by those rules.
It says very clearly that they are giving 3 years time to them. They're not saying tomorrow you have to change according to a bill. They're not saying your whole pool of, employees will be changed tomorrow.
So in 3 years, let's say a company employs 1,000 people. Let's say for argument's sake, a company employs 1,000 people. And let's say 900 of them are from outside, 100 are local Kannadigas. So in 3 years, you are saying that 400 people, from 900 to 500 it has to come down because 50% is your quota, right? So 400 people who are outsiders have to be let go of, and 400 people who are locals have to be hired in their place in 3 years.
In 3 years, see, I told you very clearly in the beginning itself, if it's a highly skilled job, then we are giving an exception. Otherwise, yes. And with that, the government has clearly said that we will hold consultation with the industries.
Now, post facto, after the backlash to it. But Anand Gurumurthy, this beggars logic. There is no logic to say that companies, government is not giving some kind of charity to companies to say, oh, in 3 years you have to ensure that 50% of your staff is local. If they can't find local talent, they will go to places where they don't have these conditions. They will go to Hyderabad, they will go to Amaravati, they will go to Chennai, they will go to Mumbai. Anand Gurumurthy.
See, from 2013 to 2018, Mr. Siddaramaiah, when he was the CM, he did similar kind of rhetorics. Basically, now that, the Supreme Court has already told about the Deputy CM's CBI-related case, they are not going to entertain. And then Siddaramaiah himself in many SC/ST funds, and many other funds that has been looted in Karnataka. He is also in the Muda scam, he is being named and shamed. He is trying to do this political rhetoric again. This happens whenever Congress is here. They will start Kaveri riots. They will start all these kinds of dramas, okay? They're not going to do anything good for the local people.
No, sir, you answer on the merit, on the debate tonight, which is on what is your position on this bill? No, one second, Bhavya, one second. I'm the anchor, I'm asking the questions. Mr. Gurumurthy, please answer about the bill. Bhavya, please don't interject. He did not interject you. Bhavya, please. Bhavya, please yield. My question is to Mr. Gurumurthy. Mr. Gurumurthy, stick to the topic for today, which is what is your view on the bill?
I'm coming to answer you. See, very clearly, Jacob, whatever BJP says is very clear and it's on paper in our manifesto also. See, for example, even when Kannadigas in our state, okay, talked about the bank exam, Kannada was provided as one of the languages in which they could write. So the locals should be empowered. That's not there anywhere that locals should not be empowered. But this kind of draconian law, and where an industrialist has to go and stand with folded hands before a politician or some government official to get a permit, and what is a high-skilled job that they are defining, all this, is a prank of Congress, which they have been doing from past 70 years. We are not for any draconian law, but at the same time, local empowerment, if it has to be done, it has to be done through merit. And that's what we are also talking about in BJP. Do it long term, not like this. And they are doing this only for the political game that they are playing, right? Like they did the guarantees. They have not given any guarantees to the people. But still, they say they claim they are giving. Just like how Rahul Gandhi says every day, with 99 seats, he says, I have won Indian election. So these people are just crazy. Okay. People should vote them out.
Anyway, these are not material to today's debate. I want to go across to Captain Gopinath, but Mr. Vaidyanathan is putting his hands up. Mr. Vaidyanathan, from an industry point of view, I think it's very simple. Capital, labor, investment, these will go to where it is encouraged to come. Today, Nara Lokesh of the TDP, minister in the Naidu government, has tweeted and he has openly said to NASSCOM, I know you guys are upset about the Karnataka government's move. Please come to Andhra Pradesh. You are welcome. We will not interfere in your hiring. We will give you land. We will give you whatever resources you need. Please, you are welcome to come to Andhra Pradesh. So, industry is not waiting around for, Mr. Siddaramaiah, Mr. D.K. Shivkumar to decide on how much local quota, how much non-local quota. They will go to places which don't have these arbitrary rules.
But I have a point to make in this. Earlier, I wrote to Haryana government also when they implemented such a scheme. See, this private sector is a very broad sweep we are making. Only 20% of the jobs are generated for corporate and government. Remaining 80% is in the partnership proprietorship firms in the area of transportation, retail trade, wholesale trade, and in the area of small restaurants, hotels, and other type of services. Now, my point is, according to my understanding of the reading of the bill, this is supposed to be focusing only on the companies, particularly, if I understood correctly, big companies. But what about other non-corporate? Is it also covered? For instance, I am running a shop. I want to take 4 more additional hands. Should 3 of them be knowing Kannada? That is the first question I am raising, because 80% of the jobs come in the partnership proprietorship area. Second question is, knowledge of, you should have had third language and all that is fine. But interestingly, many of the Islamic schools do not impart Kannada as a third language. And at the end of it, many of them are not in a position to read or write. The government says that you should be in a position to read, write, and speak. Speak is okay, but read and write. So one simple request I will make, all the netas can put out where their children are studying. Is their children know how to read and write Kannada? This is very, very, because I know for sure most of them are studying either IG or CBSE, ICSE in convent schools, where the language they choose is German or French. I am asking all the netas. So this is one thing to propagate for others, but what about themselves?
Okay.
The third point is, as you rightly pointed out, it has been struck down earlier in other states. According to me, this is just optics, in the sense just to generate some discussion and other thing. And then when the court strikes down, it can always be told, you see, we tried our level best.
Okay.
We never compromised on the issue.
So,
but it's the court which is,
Okay, so you're also saying it's optics, it's a diversionary tactic. Let me get in Captain Gopinath. Captain Gopinath, you came from a different state, you settled in Bangalore, you launched a very, very successful business. In fact, your story has now been chronicled on the silver screen. What do you make of this move by the Siddaramaiah government, although it's now been put on hold, but they are basically saying that any enterprise, any company should give 50% reservation for jobs to locals in administrative or management jobs, and 70% quota should be given in non-management, C and D class jobs. What do you make of this controversial move?
Yeah, I think it is as rash. They're following the footsteps of the BJP government in the sense that it's done without debate, dialogue with all the stakeholders and the opposition. They should have called the industry leaders. They should have called the opposition parties. They should have called the whole lot of stakeholders, had a wide debate, and then, come to a decision rather than shooting from the hip. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that BJP did earlier. Now, Congress is doing the same thing. It's very retrograde, very regressive. I think it's also going to be against the interest of Karnataka. People come to Karnataka, the industry comes to Karnataka because it is great place to work. It's got talent. It's not communally polarized. It's got equable weather. Got a great talent pool. That is one aspect. So I think people think 10 times before opting to choose Karnataka for any big investment. But even if you look at the small, restaurants,
Shops,
bakeries, any kind of, Urban Ladder, for example, which has an online thing which gives you home service. It's all people from all communities, from across regions. It's a true melting pot of India. And that is what is the sign of a vibrant economy. Migrants are the key to economic growth. They have to have free movement of goods and free movement of people, labor. And that labor could be labor where you need a security guard because the locals are not forthcoming, or that they become too costly. So they compete for the job, just like hotels compete, just like you want airlines to compete, you want the labor to compete, and it's good for the local labor to aspire for better jobs. If the local labor, exactly what happens in America, if the local whites or the well-entrenched citizens cannot find jobs locally at a level which they want, then migrants move in from Mexico or from India or Bangladesh. And that's how the economy, scales up. And so I think it will be the death knell of Karnataka, but I think it's more politics than forget brains, any common sense behind it.
So Bhavya, I think that's a fair point that Captain is making. You look at, let's say, even the lower end jobs where you're asking for 75% for locals, whether it is, restaurants, whether it's your Swiggy delivery boys. The fact is that either the local labor is not wanting to do that job because they find it, beneath their dignity, or worse, that local labor is not available for a competitive price. So that's why people from other parts of the country come and fill up that vacancy or fill up that job. Ultimately, you cannot put, this kind of artificial conditions, whether it is on the movement of capital or on the movement of labor. Those jobs are there for variety of reasons. Like I said, it could either be cost factor or dignity factor or whatever it is. For a variety of reasons, the locals are not picking up those jobs.
Okay. I would like to first address three of the issues that Professor Vaidyanathan sir raised. First thing about the private organization. The bill clearly says private entities. So that include proprietorship, partnership, and all of these. The second point was about, some of these schools, including Islamic schools, who do not offer Kannada as a language. So the bill clearly says if you do not have a secondary school certificate with Kannada as a language, then they have to pass a proficiency test. This test will be set by a nodal agency and overseen the whole test. So even if it is a Neta's child, if they do not know Kannada and if they are aspiring to work in this entity, then and under this quota, then yes, they need to take this proficiency test. And if they are smart enough,
can I ask? I still haven't understood the logic. Tomorrow, if you want to work in Bombay and the Maharashtra government says you should know how to read Marathi, write Marathi, and speak Marathi, how are people going to work in Bombay? What logic is that? I get it. I understand one second, Bhavya, one second. Please understand where I'm coming from. I understand that there is a pet peeve that a lot of people, not just in the political class, a lot of Bangaloreans, old time, Kannadiga folks who've been living in Bangalore feel that, look, a lot of these outsiders come, they don't even make an effort to learn the language. So I get that peeve, that angst. But one second, this whole business of reading and writing, this whole business of reading and writing, I think Professor Vaidyanathan is right. I'm sure even people who can speak the language, many of them will not be able to read or write.
You are mistaken. This proficiency test and the condition they should know to speak, write and read is for those who are claiming a quota as a Kannadiga, not for the other 50% managerial position or the 25%. This is for those who are claiming this quota. not for the others who are coming from Maharashtra or Delhi or Haryana. So let me make this very clear. If you are a Kannadiga claiming this, I was making this point only for those children of Netas that he made a point about, and about Islamic schools not providing Kannada as a language. Then if you want a job under this quota, you need to know how to read, write and speak Kannada. Not for others, not for the other 50%, not for the migrants,
if you are a
not for the
local,
migrants.
if you are a local,
It is not for the
irrespective
migrants.
of whether the skill sets required for a job are met or not met, but Kannada proficiency has to be met.
Whether the skill sets are job or met or not met, why would you assume that they would not have the skill set?
No, but without the skill set, you won't get the job. No.
Without a skill set.
To get the job, you need the required skill sets that are required of the job. Without the skill sets, you can't get the job.
Of course.
So,
Why we
so you are saying that whether or not the person has the skill set, the proficiency in Kannada should be there. Only then the job will be given.
Jaco, we are among the states with highest number of engineering schools, or whether it is medical or any other colleges. So to assume that we are expecting
you should actually have a test of all the engineering graduates, all the medical graduates who pass out from colleges in Karnataka, make them read and write Kannada, and I want to know how many actually pass. I really want to know.
Same mistake. I'm talking about those who are claiming this quota. Only they need to know.
No. In educational institutions, there are locals. No, let that test be there for the locals who are there, who are passing out from these professional colleges, engineering colleges, medical colleges, dental colleges. Make them read and write Kannada. I'd really like to see how many of them pass.
And medical courses and every degree course, including law.
Mr. Gurumurthy, no. What are you saying? Are you saying that to get a 4-year engineering degree, you have to write a test in Kannada? Come on, what are you saying, ma'am? I mean, please get a handle of what you're saying.
Mr. Jacob, there is a subject in every engineering course. I am not speaking with
Mr. Gurumurthy, I don't know how to argue against this, because this is bereft of logic. I don't think there's any logic in what she's arguing. To get into a 4-year BE or BTech, and to pass a 4-year BE or BTech, she says language proficiency has to be there. Come on, Mr. Gurumurthy.
Let's talk about more sensible things which people spoke of, like instead of the Congress spokesperson who are, according to their Bharat Jodo Yatra, they are uniting India and finally coming up with such things. Okay, Gopinath sir told a very important point. He talked about non-industrious people. In fact, he told a lot of things in a very. I just want to summarize it the way I understood it. Non-industrious people are coming up with such things. It's brash. It's not right. See, local talent must be encouraged. That is the government's prerogative. They have to do it. Okay, whether it is BJP, Congress, whoever it is. But let's be sensible in implementing things. As you said, Jacob, it's very clear. They have some kind of hidden agenda here. They want the private industry people to stand before them so that they can extract something out of them. This is what the current Karnataka government under Siddaramaiah is trying to do, and that is what their entire party wants to do, and that is what they did with this country during their rule. They just extracted something from the industrious people, and they want to continue that, so they want to introduce some kind of a system here. Okay. That's all, Jacob. This is nothing more than that. I'm sure they got a mouthful from all the people, and they have, withheld the bill, but they're trying to popularize it, saying that we are for the Kannadigas and other things. All the Kannadigas know how they told lies and won this election, and they know that they're not going to implement anything, as the courts will strike it down. One thing. Second thing is, they don't have anything in the heart for Kannadigas, just to make their own little bit of money or something out of all this.
Okay.
They're doing this. That's all.
Let me go back to Captain Gopinath. So the logic that's being given, Captain, from the political class, from the government, is that, look, there are a lot of people in rural Karnataka, outside of Bangalore, who may have the skills for these jobs, who want to come to Bangalore and get these jobs, but they are unable to, because those jobs are already being taken away from people by people from outside the state. Is that a valid argument?
No, so what I think is utter rubbish, because Toyota advertises, for example, airlines advertise. You're going to take people who are competent, right? Of course, there will be some nepotism. There may be a manager who is from Kerala, he'll take a Kerala. That's there. If you're a Kannadiga, you'll try to take a Kannadiga. But largely, private sector takes people who are competent for the job, and they have to pay the minimum wages. There are labor laws, you have to follow that, which is good. You have to protect labor rights. But beyond that, even today in restaurants and bakeries and hotels, even agriculture labor, I mean, they're doing exactly the stupid thing and retrograde thing or regionally divisive thing, like what Shiv Sena did in Bombay. I was just in Bombay last week, and I asked the driver, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from Jharkhand." He said. So you've got cooks in Bangalore, you've got people from Assam, there are security guards, there are beauty parlors. So similarly, Kannadigas must venture out. And Kannadigas generally have been very docile in terms of migrating to other parts. It's Keralites from the south who are largely very, very migrant. For example, they're the largest population in Delhi from outside the states. Similarly, Tamil Nadu people, the Biharis and Uttar. These people move about looking for jobs. That is also shows you that there are no jobs in those Hindi heartlands. So they move to places like Bangalore or to Hyderabad or to Pune or Bombay. So it's a good thing. It's a culturally very good thing in the sense India gets united. It moves with a common heartbeat. And telling people that, you appoint, why will Toyota set up industry in Bangalore or IBM or Infosys in Bangalore? Or even anybody wants to set up any kind of factory in Bangalore, why would they want to do it here if you put such restrictions?
Okay.
So I think it's absolutely, it looks me daft that you say 100% in a top management, you want to have 50% from local Kannadigas and 75% in the next category of clerical and financial. So if you don't have a commerce clerk in Bangalore, you will take it from somewhere else, or he should compete. And that's good, competition is good for the local population. You will kill industry, and if industry dies, then Kannadigas will not get jobs.
Let me give the final word to Mr. Vaidyanathan. Again, the point that Captain Gopinath made is very valid. The jobs at the lower end of the scale, whether it is in restaurants, Swiggy delivery boys, beauty parlors, etc., are all being done by non-locals because A, the locals either don't want to do those jobs or they are not competitive in the sense that they are too expensive to be doing those jobs. It is those jobs.
Two things.
Yeah.
It was told that all these small shops, small restaurant, everything will be covered. That means millions and millions of enterprises within the country, within Karnataka, are going to be covered. And I do not know how they are going to implement it. In a hotel, for instance, you may have a small, restaurant with 5 people working. Of that, 4 of the, if additional recruitment has to be done, then the government man will go and sit in the panel or what? This whole thing is, there are at least 2 to 2.5 million of such establishments.
Okay.
That is one thing. Second, let me put it to you clearly, Rahul. In towns like Coimbatore, Chennai, or in many of the local towns in Karnataka, Bangalore, you have to search for a electrician or a plumber of the local variety. You always get it from Bihar or UP. 60% of the plumbers come from Kendrapara in Orissa. This is the real situation. One can't wait for 3 years for getting a plumber who knows Kannada and who should be able to read, write, and speak. I think let's be very realistic. What is happening in this country? There is a huge migration of labor taking place across the country, east to west, west to south, all these things. Long before I remember, I will finish with this. Ram Manohar Logia, who is the Bhishma Pitamaha for all these people, including Siddharamaiah, he was asked by the press reporter why all the industries are set in the south by the government. All your BHEL, BEML, BSNL and ISRO and HMT, everything. Almost all. Why none of them is located in Bihar or UP or something? That's because of the freight equalization. We will not go into that. But when Ramana or Logia was asked this, he told, "Kya farak padta hai? They are our brothers. South is also our brothers. If they are developing, we are developing. Why are we having this, type of a mentality?"
Okay.
I don't think today there is any political leader in the country who will be able to answer the question like this. That's what I would like to mention.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. The only good news is that I guess better sense has prevailed with the Karnataka government. They've now decided to put this on hold. We hope that it is permanently shelved because A, like I said, it goes against the idea of the Constitution, which allows you the freedom of movement to work in any part of the country. It goes against the idea of merit, that the most skilled person should be the one who should be doing a particular job. And also, at the end of the day, it will lead to this series of parochial moves. If Karnataka does it today, what's stopping Maharashtra from doing it tomorrow? That's a wrap. I'm going to take a break now. When we come back on the other side, after the big loss for the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections in Uttar Pradesh, there is now a full-blown internal tussle that's happening in the BJP organization, which has sparked concerns in the top brass because, remember, there are crucial bypolls. There are 10 vacant MLA seats that are going to bypolls in the next few weeks.